Welcome back, degenerates, to Place Your Bets. I'm Tyler James. He's the one and only Eric Hansen. Together we cover Notre Dame football, recruiting, and more for InsideNDSports.com on the Rivals Network. And we like to make prop bets and predictions about Notre Dame football. Our big season-long competition on the Insider Lounge rewards the first-place subscriber with a free 12-month extension of their subscription, and second place gets us 6 free months. There's a thread to submit your picks listed in the video description below. Despite the loss to Northern Illinois last weekend, Eric, we had a bunch of subscribers hit 4 of the 5 prop bets correctly, and now we have a 4-way tie for first place on the season with Jimbo 32, Jay Bridges 99, Jeff R&R, and JBM 19. So congrats to those folks. They have 8 correct this season. Eric, we're down the standings with 6 correct each. Do you think that our first place subscribers are going to handle success better than Notre Dame did last week?
I hope not. No, I actually am rooting for them, but I want to be like within striking distance. I think it's bad if we're too far down the standings because we may get benched.
Yeah, we don't want to get benched. I don't want to be doing these with Bob Morton on Fridays, so we'll keep it going.
Actually, he would be maybe a little bit more entertaining.
He might be. All right, well, let's get to our prop bets for Notre Dame's road game at Purdue. First one I have for us, Eric, is over under 170.5 passing yards for Notre Dame.
Yeah. So as I look at this, I think how is Purdue's game plan going to try to dictate that? And by what they've kind of hinted at in press conferences and with what I thought they would do, even if they didn't hint at it, is they're going to try to make Riley Leonard be a drop back passer, and they're going to try to overload the box against the run and get Notre Dame to throw the ball. So I'm going to go above that 175. So over for me for the passing yards, even though Notre Dame was below that against Northern Illinois.
Below that against Texas A&M as well with 158, and Northern Illinois was 163. The passing game is certainly in prove-it mode. Right now, I'm a little suspicious, I guess I would say, because I do think that Purdue's going to try to make it tough, but I do think that Notre Dame can get over that number. And I don't think it has to be a lot over that number for the passing game to look better than it has the last 2 weeks. I think there's been some inefficiencies there that can be cleaned up, and Riley Leonard doesn't have to throw for 250 passing yards for the passing game to be impressive. I think it can have a lower yardage number, but be more efficient, get in the end zone. I know that based on some of the responses I've received from people, I know that will make people happy because the fact that he has 0 touchdown passes to the first 2 games is being thrown around pretty liberally for folks that want to see him benched. All right, next one, over under 1.5 sacks allowed by Notre Dame.
I'm going to go under. I had originally said over. I looked at the revised Pro Football Focus grades, and the top 3 ranked offensive players in the revised rankings were offensive linemen, and Emil Wagner being the best offensive player in that game. I think Purdue's going to blitz a lot. But I think Notre Dame will have a game plan to get the ball out quick. And so I am going to go under.
Yeah, I'm going under as well. Notre Dame gave up 2 last week to Northern Illinois. Ended up giving up 1 to Texas A&M upon box score updates after the game. I do think that they can keep it under, and it's not necessarily that I have tremendous confidence in the offensive line, but I do think Riley Leonard will continue to look to get rid of the ball quickly and protect himself and try to limit the big plays for the defense by getting sacked. So I think that it will go under 1.5 sacks. All right, next, will Notre Dame win the time of possession?
This was a coin flip for me. Again, what I'm trying to think of the game plans and how these would play into the time of possession. And I think Notre Dame is eventually going to be able to run the ball against Purdue, maybe not in the first half, but I think in the second half. And I think Notre Dame should be aggressive in their run defense and trying to get Purdue to throw the ball and maybe get some 3 and out. So I am going through Notre Dame. Not real confident on that, but I'm going to pick that.
Yeah, I went with no. I do think that Notre Dame can have some success in the running game. I'm not 100% confident that Notre Dame's success in the running game will be better than Purdue's success in the running game, based on how Notre Dame's run defense has been these past 2 weeks. I don't exactly know what to expect from Purdue. I mean, Graham Harrell.
Not sure they know.
Graham Harrell is an air raid guy, but they ran the ball a lot last year. I would imagine that would be a recipe that would bear repeating based on what Northern Illinois did last week. So I'm gonna say that Purdue wins the time of possession after Notre Dame lost the time of possession last week as well. All right, before we get to the rest of our prop bets, I wanted to take a moment to remind our audience about our partner Autograph. You can now find Inside ND Sports content on the Autograph app, which is free to download on Android and iOS devices. Autograph announced last week it moved out of the beta stage, so now is a great time to try it. There are many cool tools and features in the app, including the daily replay, which summarizes the news from the previous day with links to content you may have missed. And you can purchase tickets for football games in the app as well. You can download the app using the QR code at the bottom of the screen here on YouTube, or by using the link listed in the video description. From there, go find our content in the Notre Dame community. Make sure you use referral code INDS so Autograph knows that we sent you. All right, next one we have, Eric, is over under 69.5 rushing yards for Purdue running back Devin Mockobee.
I love the name. That's pretty cool. You know, they have a more of a tag team at running back than Northern Illinois does. And if you had told me before the season and done this prop bet, I would have definitely said under. I'm going to go over on this. Notre Dame has to prove to me at 100th in the nation in rush defense that they can stop a good running back like Mockobee. So I'm going over.
Yeah, I'm going over as well. And maybe it doesn't end up being Mockobee. Maybe Reggie Love is the one who gets over the number, but I think it would be more likely to be Mockobee. But yeah, Notre Dame's opponents have passed, or a running back on Notre Dame's opponent has rushed for at least 70 yards in each of the past 2 games. Le'Veon Moss for Texas A&M was 70, and Ontario Brown for 99 last week. So I'm not confident that trend will end, so I'm going over. All right, next up, sticking with Purdue's offense, over under 14.5 completions for Purdue quarterback Hudson Card.
I thought you would do the incompletion since he only had 1 last week. I'm going over on this. It doesn't seem like Purdue could be competitive in this game if he doesn't have more than 14.5 completions. So I'm going over on this. I think it's interesting that when Notre Dame was looking for a portal quarterback, that Hudson Card was the first guy whose name came up a couple of years ago.
All right, I'm going with over as well, even though Connor Wegman only had 12. Ethan Hampton only had 10. I do think Purdue will have some balance this game, but he should be able to get to that 15 mark. He was 24-25 against Indiana State. He hit 15 9 times last season, but he did have less against Michigan with 12 and Ohio State with 13. So if Notre Dame can play defense like those teams did, which isn't out of the realm of possibility, Notre Dame can keep him under this number, but I'm going with over. All right, next up, our fun one for the week. How soon after kickoff will they show Purdue's big drum on television?
I'm going to say -2 minutes. I think they'll actually show it before the kickoff because it was a big deal that they couldn't bring the drum the last time they were at Notre Dame Stadium. So I think somehow that'll come up and the band will have a chip on its shoulder. And it's such a landmark thing at Notre Dame, at Purdue, having covered them earlier in my career. So I'd say before kickoff. So -2 minutes.
I said before the end of the first quarter, maybe Purdue has a scoring drive, but yeah, they're the TV broadcast definitely is going to bring up the drum, show the drum, and certainly the story of it not being allowed in Notre Dame Stadium. So I think even on some pregame packages, we may see the drummer, see that being discussed. I'm curious how much Purdue is playing that up in the stadium as well, if they want to make an extra deal out of the drum because of the way it was treated the last time Notre Dame or Purdue played at Notre Dame. All right, lastly, before we get out of here, final score prediction for Notre Dame Purdue.
The last time these two teams played in West Lafayette was 2013. Notre Dame was coming off a national championship season, and Purdue played them really close, and that was a team for Purdue that went 1-11, that beat Indiana State, and Notre Dame was the start of a long losing streak for them. I think this game is going to have some similarities, just because I think Notre Dame is going to be tight in the first half, and then they will be able to pull away in the second half. But I'm going Notre Dame 31 and Purdue 21. And in that game, Marcus Freeman was the linebackers coach for the Boilermakers as well.
That's pretty good. I'm going with 27-17. I don't expect a high-scoring game for Notre Dame. Hard to predict that based on the first two games. And I think Purdue could get some points on the board. I don't think their offense will be completely stagnant. So I do think that Notre Dame wins, but not by a lot. Maybe, I mean, this is right around what the spread is. So I don't know. This sort of feels like a stay away game if you're actually gambling on this one. But I think Notre Dame pulls out a victory and tries to get back on track after last week's Northern Illinois loss. I think you said when you were speaking, Eric, that the last time Notre Dame went down to Purdue, they were coming off a national championship. They were coming off a national championship game.
Yeah.
We don't want you to give Notre Dame an extra national championship.
National championship game appearance. I'll pretend that the audio was cut off and I didn't, and then I actually said the sentence.
You should have said that's not what you said, and my internet just cut out. You should have just blamed me straight up. But we'll keep
national championship game appearance, and that Notre Dame team went 9-4, and that was a tight game. And Purdue's got a history. They call them the spoiler makers, and that's where that came from, the Purdue Notre Dame series. That was the second to the last game in the continuous part of this rivalry that went from 1946 to 2014. And then they've only played once since 2014, and that was in 2021 at Notre Dame Stadium.
Yeah, it's pretty wild that I've been on the beat since 2012, and I've only been down there once. that would be sort of unheard of in different eras. But, well, that is it for Place Your Bets this week. Best of luck with your predictions. Enjoy another Saturday of college football. Hopefully, for Notre Dame fans, it goes a little bit better than it did last week, and we'll talk to you after